Well, obviously, the most obvious thing that comes to mind now is the hurricane. Post hurricane and where we are, where the community is. I'm familiar with the community as far as the old Florida style and the old Florida the pace that it had down here, and that's pretty exciting for me. I like the old Florida style. I realize there's going to be some changes coming.
Hmm.
It's things that are being forced because of the hurricane. But we got a community here that loves their community, passionate about their community. Just read some of the comments on your website, your paper, and it's good. That's the pulse. That's how you understand and you communicate. And I think we've got some good communicators here. And I've kind of learned that since I've been a candidate.
Yeah. Ground zero for the hurricane, major damage, no cars survived, building, every structure and building just damaged. I mean, you go down some streets now, houses are gone, 5 or 6 on each side are gone. It's a major undertaking for somebody that we need to have in there that is going to last a long time because it's going to take so long. Have you had experience with major storms like this that totally devastate a community?
Well, those managers can be counted probably on one hand that have had that kind of experience. My experience has been with Matthew and Irma in a community I have. Also with that building collapse, I'm the only manager in the country that's dealt with something like that. That's the worst is that non-hurricane related disaster in the state of Florida. So I've had that experience. When we got that call at 1:30 in the morning, we had to act then.
Mm-hmm.
We were trying to find bodies. There wasn't really a lot of plans
Sure.
for collapsed buildings. So we had to come with that on the fly. I mean, and all of a sudden now all the other building residents were concerned about what their building is ours going to collapse now, what's going on. So as far as the experience of a complete devastation, no. And those managers are few and far between, obviously. But I think, with our experience and with the town and the employees and just the connections I've had in other places and the experiences I've had with dealing with the state and the county and international governments actually during a collapse has benefited me tremendously. And, of course, National Incident Management System, which is a requirement of FEMA, and dealing with FEMA. I know FEMA inside and out. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
You don't want to know FEMA inside
right.
and out, but once you do, you make those connections, you understand a little more about disasters.
Yeah. The other thing that we're kind of beholden to now, the mayor's going to Tallahassee tomorrow. So much of what goes on down here is dependent on the funding from Tallahassee. Do you have experience working with the politicians that can help bring more money to Fort Myers Beach to help?
Absolutely. One thing we did in Surfside, and of course I pulled on my experiences, obviously, was we got a $2 million appropriation for a stormwater project. That was not a natural disaster. That was not an issue like we're dealing with here. Also over there, working hand in hand with the governor and the governor's office in Surfside with the collapse to get the building taken down, to get what we needed there from the state resources, the state, Kevin Guthrie with emergency management. Everybody probably knows Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin's a wonderful person. Those contacts. I think the contacts I made and my other contacts in Northeast Florida and some of the other parts of this in Southeast Florida, those are some pretty heavy hitters. And so, I hope to be able to call on them and reach out to them and kind of, put the pressure on as it is to get it done. But it sounds like a lot of the wheels are starting to move. The wheels of justice grind. They just grind a little slow sometimes.
Right.
So it just seems to be something that, even though it's been 6 months, there's a lot of background work that has to happen, but it sounds like there's really some switches about to be turned.
One of the interesting thing about your position, the town manager's position, is you also have to manage the politicians. You're one vote away in the next election. Everybody runs on change, and the town manager's position is usually the one that gets the easy pickings.
Correct.
How do you manage the bosses?
Well, that's always an interesting comment. One thing that I always say, especially as an election is beginning to happen, if there's new ones, and I use this term very respectfully, we need to train them. We need to help them understand the charter. I'm not saying they don't know the charter, but sometimes when they sit in a room and they sit with the staff and they sit with the manager, they see that the team is wanting to welcome another team member. If we try to just educate, we try to make sure that they know as much as possible. Communication, not just with elected officials, but, sitting down with people like you and sitting down with residents. I have a true open door policy. I don't know of a time that I can think of except unless I was extremely busy in a meeting that I didn't just stop what I was doing, even if I was in a staff meeting. And go speak to a citizen, because that whatever they've come to me about, whether it's an elected official, whether it's a resident, that's the most important thing to them. And me putting it off for 2 or 3 days or a week is not going to make it any
Right.
better. It's not going to solve the issue. It's not going to maybe calm the anxiousness of anybody. So I have a true open door policy. I return my calls. I'm not a big emailer. I'm an old school guy. I want to talk to you. I want to look at you. I want to understand a little more about what you're about.
Yeah.
And once you learn the community, and you kind of start to work like a well-oiled machine. But you're exactly right. Yeah. Anybody that's been in this industry understands that dynamic with an elected official and a manager. And sometimes it's a slippery slope.
Yeah. Why do you want this job?
The challenge. This is a unique challenge. If you go around looking for disasters and places that you need to find a place to go to work. No, but I think I'm a boots on the ground, hands-on kind of manager. I'm not a manager that sits back and wants all the glory and wants to get pats on the back. That's for staff. That's for people who are doing the work. I'm really a behind-the-scenes kind of guy. I'm a shy person by nature. I don't like the limelight. I prefer to stay in the shadows, but I do what I need to do to get things accomplished. And I think that this has got an opportunity to really improve the lives of an entire community,
right,
more than the normal position that would, because you go to a city, you pave a few roads, you put some street lights up, you build a new community center. That affects a small group. This will literally affect everybody's life.
Yep.
And even people we don't know that haven't even come to visit yet. So this is about an economic development project. This is about home. This is about getting people's homes back.
If you read, like you said, some of the comments, you'll notice permitting gets a lot of so how do you fix that?
Well, that's one thing we had just been working on where I was in Surfside. We have been expediting that process over there, making it where you can do it from your house, making it where you can get your permits approved in a timely manner. Time is everybody's enemy, and it's only because we get anxious when I didn't get a phone call, the doctor hasn't called me back about my test. We all get anxious about that. Well, it's about having that contact person, and of course the manager is always somebody they can call, but there's always that person that they can reach out to, and we need to make sure those people are available. Those people, the hours are appropriate. I've extended hours before to make sure people can come earlier. Towns open up, the front office opens at 9 o'clock. A lot of contractors go to work at 7 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So we opened hours. We opened at 7:30. We kind of compromised because we can come in, people can get permits. We tried to make it a simple you can go as far as to make appointments, and so you're not standing in a line. So we don't have that. So there's some things it's the 21st century. You can do things computer related. You can do things that are so electronic nowadays. Everything you do, you can't. Social Security Administration, everything's electronic. Nothing.
Yep.
They don't want to talk. They don't want to see you face to face. That's okay if it's getting accomplished. But this is kind of a double-edged sword. You have somebody they can come talk to, but you also should be able to do it electronically, where people can just do it from at home and submit their applications, submit their plans. It should be an easy process, because a lot of people, they might have somebody in Orlando as their architect.
Mm-hmm.
And so they got to come here to do it. No, let them submit electronically from Orlando and speed that process.
And last question, I'll let you get back to the residents. Let them all know out there that, why you're the perfect person to take this job over and take them into the rebuild, which could be a decade long. By the time everything's done, it's certainly going to be years and years.
Well, I'm very young at heart. I have a desire to make an impact. I'm a true public servant. I've served 2 beach communities, small beach communities, who all are, every citizen thinks their issues the most important. So you have to deal with them delicately. I've dealt with the ecosystems of the beach, with what we have to deal with in the state of Florida. I've dealt with collapses, the collapse of the century, the collapse of the history of the state of Florida. I've also dealt with 2 hurricanes, Matthew and Irma, over in Northeast Florida, with dealing with the follow-up. Dealt with Wilma when I was in Deerfield Beach. I wasn't the manager there, but I was part of the team. So if you lived in Florida, no, you don't always get a complete devastation. Mexico Beach comes to mind, obviously here. But you just have those experiences. I have those experiences and contacts to draw upon, which make me a little unique.
Thank you so much, Andrew
Thank
Hyatt.
you, sir.
Good luck. Good
Thank
luck.
you. Nice meeting you.
We might see you again.